And I remember being embarrassed when people from my district, maybe on their first trip to our nation's capital, expected splendor and beauty, and there was a homeless encampment and some guy peeing on the Smithsonian Museum. And that's not even hyperbole. I saw that.
No. Oh,
So, like, there will be some who will say this is some great violation of home rule, that for those of us who always want to push local control, that this is hypocrisy. But I don't know, Tim. I think there's something different about the Capitol. I think that it's okay for every American to have a vested interest in their capital city being safe and beautiful and a positive representation of the country.
Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
We've mobilized the D.C. National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the D.C. Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week.
Today you saw President Trump, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro really say that they want to take command of the streets in Washington, D.C. You spend a lot of time in Washington still. Your reaction?
I think it's long overdue, Matt. I can always remember the oversight committee where we had the Washington elites come in and tell us how safe Washington was. And during that meeting, broad daylight, if you remember, a young kid was carjacked in his Jeep in broad daylight in one of the so-called nicer areas. And they had, I think it was 6 or 8 white men explaining to us all the crime. And they had all the black folks behind them that lived in the community. And I said, what's the dadgum deal with y'all? I said, you're primarily a black community, and you've got a bunch of white men up here. And I said, this isn't speaking, and you could see all the heads bobbing. I thought all those activists, one time in their life, they agree with Tim Burchett. I walked off, and my friend Kwasi Mafumi, who we don't agree on anything, but I find him to be a very principled, fair man, and you know him. I walked off, and I was out in the hall, and he thanked me for what I said. He thanked me for what I said because it needed to be said. They are so out of touch, Matt. They don't know what's going on. This thing has gone on too long. There's a new sheriff in town. His name is Donald J. Trump, and he's sitting at Pennsylvania Avenue. Dadgum, it's long overdue. And I wish they could just split it up and give it to the states and just allow the federal government just to control the Capitol and the few of the monuments around there, and that'd be about it. I just think it's gone way out of control.
Whatever we do control should at least be presentable. It should at least be classy. You are known to invite people from your district to Washington, and I remember being embarrassed when people from my district, maybe on their first trip to our nation's capital, expected splendor and beauty, and there was a homeless encampment and some guy peeing on the Smithsonian Museum. And that's not even hyperbole. I saw that. No. So, like, there will be some who will say this is some great violation of home rule, that for those of us who always want to push local control, that this is hypocrisy. But I don't know, Tim. I think there's something different about the Capitol. I think that it's okay for every American to have a vested interest in their capital city being safe and beautiful and a positive representation of the country. But will we hear the home rule concerns?
I think you will, but it's what Reagan called it, that bright, shining city on a hill, and it is a dull hellhole. I mean, it smells like human waste. It's just you come off the interstate. The first, I hadn't been there, I think, since maybe I was in the safety patrols in the 70s, and it was pretty cool back then. They'd turn you loose, a group of kids, 5 kids, and say, walk around the city.
It was great before crack. Before crack, DC was terrific.
Yeah, it was great. But you get off the interstate, what's the first thing you see? A bunch of tents. I mean, who are these people camping? It's a bunch of homeless people. And then you see a shopping cart off the side. You see some guy throwing up. You see some guy going to the bathroom off the curb. You see those crazy scooters crashed and trashed out everywhere. And the crime is ridiculous. I remember walking out one night and I about got ambushed by a rat. I thought it was a buffalo, but I remember hearing something and somebody said, "Is that fireworks?" And I go, no, I don't believe that was fireworks. There was gunfire. I mean, within a block of the Capitol. We were at baseball practice a couple of months ago, And everybody was like, "Oh, that's fireworks." And our catcher, who happened to be a Navy SEAL, he walked off the field and he said, "Walk over here, Tim." He said, "That was gunfire." And I said, "I think I'll trust a Navy SEAL over some DC bureaucrat over here telling us it was okay." It is awful. I do not recommend people coming up there. I definitely don't recommend them coming up at night. Trump is right. It should be set aside. It should be, once again, beautiful, and it should be respected.
And if anyone can do it, it's President Trump, it's Pam Bondi, it's Jeanine Pirro. He's got some of his best team members on this all-important project.
Yep.